Hey everybody, Fishman here. Welcome to the video. This is now fish room log number 100. And before I get started on today's video, I want to wish all the moms out there a happy Mother's Day, and I hope you're having a wonderful day with your family, and just enjoy your day. So if you remember, about 5-6 weeks ago on the fish room logs, I said, well, it would be really cool to commemorate the 100 by giving you a 100% tour of the fish room. And I thought, well, I have 5-6 weeks. There shouldn't be no problem whatsoever in getting all my tanks up and ship shape for the tour. Well, I then procrastinated, and apparently if you start on the Wednesday before doing this, you can't get it all done. Which is what I tried to do. So some of these tanks are going to be a little interesting and slightly embarrassing, let's say. Well, let's get on to the tour, and you can have a look at them all anyway. So I'm going to start here. This is a tank you guys seen quite often recently. It's got the new red crystal shrimp in it, and it also has a bunch of guppies, as you can see, and of course the rice fish. And you remember from the short I did recently, the rice fish have started to spawn. They laid one egg, a batch of eggs I should say, and I removed the female to another tank. The very next day they had another batch, so that's excellent. And if you remember, the red crystals had buried up, and I had shown you that. I haven't yet seen, of course, any of the offspring for that, but we'll see. This tank is interesting in the fish room for one reason, and that is it is the tank that is run completely by the new version of the leak-proof canister filter, which is this thing here. And as far as maintenance goes, I don't do anything on this tank. It has not been cleaned since I set this up. I do partial water changes every few months, really. I just top it up, and as you can see, it stays nice and clean. And that's just actually rather interesting. This tank is probably my more problematic, I think, of the new tanks, of this rack anyway. It's just an underground filter to a high humidity, but it always stays ever so slightly cloudy like this. Ever since I actually put in the cories. Not sure why, but we'll have to have a look at this to try and figure that out. Plants do really well, the fish are all fine. One of the cories seems to have a little bit of an infection, but it's nothing major at all, really. So this is the first of the two comparisons I'm going to be doing. This is going to be the undergravel to the high humidity, and the one next door you're going to see next is the box filter to high humidity. I actually put a female guppy in here because I like the look of her, and she was quite pregnant, so I thought, well, I'll throw her in there just to keep the tank going while I'm waiting for the platies, because this tank now has a bunch of rice fish eggs in there somewhere. I put her in here, and she brushed off the eggs somewhere. I have no idea where they are, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to just wait and see what happens, see if they hatch out. And then I'm going to put in the baby zebra danios. This tank is lovely. Again, undergravel to a high humidity. Lots of guppies in here. This is also where the coolie loaches are. And as you can see, all my tanks so far have tons of plants, and well, just lots of life going on them. I really like that look. Unfortunately, sometimes the plants do get a little out of control, but then again, I have tanks like this. This is one of the tanks that I do basically nothing to. It's just got box filters and two very large goldfish, which I breed periodically because I do have a few clients that like having that sort of colorful fish, mostly for kids, of course, but they do have their uses, and I do like them. I mean, I like this pair of fish. They're really quite nice to have, and they're very gregarious. They're always out there, saying hi to me. So this aquarium has actually gone under a fair amount of maintenance recently because I want to get all the plants out of there, because I also want to do something with all the carbensis. I have a lot of them, as you can see. There's a couple of pairs in here, and of course I moved one over to the other aquarium, and I don't need that many carbensis, so some of these are going to go out to clients, so I had to get all the plants out of here and get it in a position where I can actually see what's in there and figure out what I want to do, and so on and so forth. This is currently my only breeding tank for plecos, and of course I have all the leopard danios in here waiting to spawn as well. They're going to stay in here until I can get a tank set up for them. This is a tank that's a little over-filtered, I suppose. It has the large undergravel filter, and going up to the high humidity planter, and of course it has also a box filter. But then again, anyone who's kept plecos and has to fatten them up for breeding, they do produce an awful lot of waste. So this is one of my favorite aquariums, or pond, I guess. This is my indoor pond, and I've shown it to you many, many times. And I originally had put a bunch of fry in here, but now they're all adults, and still way too many plants, of course, because, well, I keep moving the plants around from the other tanks as I'm doing them up, and this is just such an easy place to drop them, and so they end up in here. And, of course, the sump down there with a bunch of gravel in it, coral in it, also has fry now, and a bunch of guppies, so this is normally where I just keep my cultures, but I moved a lot of plants out of that one tank I'm breeding killies in, and I'm not going to throw it out, so I wanted to put them here because I noticed fry in there, so I'm going to be pulling those out. I can't quite get in here to show you this tank, but that's where the Bosmani rainbows grew up. It's a little too crowded with plants and other stuff that's right underneath that tank, so that's about as close as I can get. But as you can see, this really does need to be moved around because it's just too crowded in there. But I had to move them out for that new filter setup. As you can see, these guys are doing really, really well. They actually have a size now that I can move them. But again, now I have the rice fish in that tank. So we're going to have to see. I have no idea where this is going to go, but it has to go somewhere. So this is the new filter setup. This is the one that's the trickle filter going to the high humidity planter. And if you remember when I showed you this when it first set up just a few days ago from this picture here, it has cleared up really nicely. And of course, the thing I was waiting for, as you can see, there's humidity building up in there, and that's what I want. I need that nice and humid in there so I can obviously grow some plants. And I still have to do something with the splashing up there, but that's easy to do, and I'll probably do that for the next Sunday vlog. I'm very happy with these platies. As you can see, there's lots of fry. I am still in the process, of course, thinking of putting them in a new tank. They're all doing really, really well, except one of the females seems to be not thriving as nicely, but that's not unusual in a large group of fish. There's always at least one or two that seem to not be doing as well as the others, but you can see there's tons of fry that are doing really, really well. This is another aquarium that needs some TLC that I haven't gotten to yet. There is a sponge filter running this. As you see, I moved the peace lily over into here as well. And I still need to deal with that ultra deep underground filter. But the fish are doing much better now that I put the sponge filter in there, so it seems to be compensating for the issues with the ultra deep underground filter. So this is a spawning mop that I put in here, and I took all the plants out and put them in that basin. They actually are spawning quite nicely in here. I have a video coming up shortly dealing with them breeding in here. I pulled out a bunch of eggs, and that's kind of cool. That's the way I used to breed them so long ago. I'm going to show you all these in one quick clip here. This tank does not, this row of tanks doesn't really have much going on in it. This is obviously the culture for the Daphne and the Cyclopses, and it's doing amazing. I do need to set up one more of those. I'm going back to this one because the male decided to come out. He spends an awful lot of time in there, and that's a good thing because that means he's very interested in spawning. And I'm getting a lot of eggs, and I want to hopefully they will mature properly and hatch, but we'll have to wait and see how that goes. I know a lot of people add methylene blue, but I don't like to, so I'm going to just keep an eye on it and see how they do. The rest of these tanks aren't doing much of anything. I filled this up with water, and I used it to dump a bunch of excess Java moss in there. I haven't done much else. I need to stick a filter in there, of course, but I haven't done that yet. I've just set this up. It's got water in it now, and I'm going to do stuff with it. This is just where I store my water change pump, and that's it. Those two tanks need to have things done to them, of course, and that middle tank as well. But that row is the newest I'm setting up, and again, it just needs to have decisions made about it. I have really taken an awful lot of this out. All those fish, of course, are going to go away. I am going to put fish in here. I'm not sure what it's going to be. I keep changing my mind. Could be the platies. It could be zebradanias, leopardanias. I'm not sure. Something's going to go in here and definitely make use of this. It also could be a lot of the Achilles, depending on how all the Achilles do. I took the front panel off so you can see the plants doing well. I mean, it is a lovely aquarium as far as cleanliness and everything else. And this is the original colony of Achilles I have. I started off with 2 trios, and as you can see, they have bred really well, but just not quite well enough to keep them breeding this way. And I'm going to use this tank as a comparison to how the spawning turns out with the spawning mop instead. So it will be interesting to see how they compare. So this pair of Carbensis I moved over into here into this tank so that they would spawn. They haven't. I'm not sure why. It might be a little too cool for them. It may be because this filter is not doing what it should do. It does obviously need something done to it, even though there is, sorry for the bad angle here, but there is a sponge filter back there as well, but it's just, they just don't seem to want to lay eggs, so something's going on. I'll have to figure it out. Maybe they just aren't interested. Who knows? This is one of the aquariums that never gets any attention at all. As you can see, it is a little bit dirty, and it has obviously a bunch of OB zebras growing up. And this tank I deliberately let go green because I need the green water for the Cyclopses and Daphnia. And of course it has the OB convicts in there, so they're really nice fish. I just have very little use for them. I have the female zebradanias in here temporarily, and the males are in here, and this is yet another aquarium that I let go green because the goldfish are really good at doing that, and again, I need the green water. So now we're over into the 7-foot tanks. This is the top one, the one that you get to see a fair amount because it has the angels in it. And of course it has the 2 new filters about, well, relatively new I suppose. The little brother filter here and the big brother over there. They're both doing really well. This tank setup, it's fine. It's just that it definitely needs to be, as I've said so many times, pruned out and set up so that I can get some territories going in here and hopefully pair off these angelfish. And of course get some of the filters I've been storing in here out of here. It just ends up being that sort of thing where they get stored. And this is an aquarium that used to be shown an awful lot. As you can see, it doesn't get cleaned. It is where I hold all my adult African cichlids, and of course a few South Americans there. And this one never gets shown. This is almost exclusively a Johanni, and I do need to take some trios out of here, or 1 male and 3 or 4 females depending, and breed those out as well. It's just, I mean, they're just storage tanks. That's why they never get shown, and they're all filtered by this sump. And it just, like I said, just it is what it is. I store sponges in here. It's great for all that. It just never gets used. And this is something I really did need to do an awful lot of work for because this is just an eyesore. I originally designed this for growing out some Daphnia and having them drip down into another aquarium to feed fish automatically. Since I started this all working, the Daphnia crashed, and I've just never done anything with it. It's just simply been stagnant. It needs to be redone, and that was one of the main projects I needed to do for this 100% tour and just didn't get to. So there you go. That's all my aquariums. I hope you enjoyed the tour. Definitely leave comments. Let me know what you think. There's some tanks that need some TLC for sure, and some of them are doing pretty good. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video, and bye for now.